All you need to do is to press the yes button and to save the Human Rights Council and many lives around the world and in Ukraine.
All right, that was the Ukrainian ambassador to the United Nations there, the UN General Assembly, heeding the call from him, suspending Russia from the Human Rights Council. The emergency meeting comes as more evidence surfaces of Russia's war crimes, and the battle turns to eastern Ukraine.
And for the latest now, let's get out to our senior correspondent, John Huddy, who is live for us at this hour in Kyiv, Ukraine, where I guess some people are returning back to their homes there, John.
Well, they are, Bianca and John. It was a much different atmosphere today compared to yesterday, certainly last week when the battle was raging outside of Kyiv. We noticed a lot of people. First of all, it was a beautiful spring day. It was right around 70 degrees. So people here in central Kyiv were out. They were walking. They were riding bikes. They were on scooters. And also hold on one second. I thought I heard air sirens. Anyway, we went outside of the city to tried to go to the eastern part, leaving Kyiv. We were stopped at military checkpoints, but leaving the city, we saw a very, very long line of traffic. It had to be more than a mile long of people trying to get back into the city, and there are air sirens right now, actually. So, peace broken. Calm and tranquility broken by air sirens. Not sure what that's, if there's any incoming fire. But that said, we did see a lot of people trying to get back into the city. We spent about 2.5 hours out in the field. We came back. We were stuck in a very long line of traffic. But Ukrainian officials were warning that there could be a false sense of security, that Kyiv could still be under threat from Russian forces. While Russian forces have withdrawn from this area, from basically these towns and villages that were battlegrounds up until really 4 or 5 days ago, the eastern part of the country, the Donbass region, is about to see a major, major fight. In fact, Ukraine's foreign minister said it could be reminiscent of World War II. So the concern is that those Russian forces that retreated back into Belarus will refit, they'll resupply, they'll link up with those forces to the east and then launch a major offensive on Kharkiv and then possibly with their sights on Kyiv once again as the air sirens continue. Also, the fighting rages in the south. So while it was a calm and peaceful day throughout the day, again, officials are warning that peace can be broken. It's really just kind of a wait-and-see situation at this point. And by the way, going back to what the Ukrainian foreign minister said about the Donbass, about a fight about to begin that could be reminiscent of World War II, many of these towns and villages, Bianca and John, that we've been visiting that have been devastated in fighting were also on the front lines of battles during World War II.
And some of the most brutal fighting during World War II. These people know the harsh realities of war, John. And of course, it's also eerie as well to hear those air raid sirens. I know you're getting used to hearing those, if you can get used to that. But I also wanted to ask you about, as we hear about Russia's perhaps next phase of this and their focus on eastern Ukraine, without giving anything away, what have you been able to see from the response from the Ukrainian military? Is there a change in their kind of mentality? Are they starting to mobilize? What have you seen?
Absolutely. We've seen a lot of mobilization with units coming back from kind of the northern areas, basically refitting, resupplying, refueling, and then basically heading to the eastern part. There's a significant force that's already there. Keep that in mind. That's in the eastern part of the country and the south. But one of the things that Petro Poroshenko, the former Ukrainian president, talked with us about when we went on a special, basically an exclusive tour to Chernihiv in the north, is that there is a need for more help from the United States, from the international community. And as Secretary of State Blinken said earlier, the U.S. is helping. The U.S. is sending drones. The U.S. is sending air defense systems, more weapons. But Ukrainian officials said now is the time they really have to make that defense. They have to stop the Russian line in eastern Ukraine and, of course, Mariupol in order to basically stop the Russian forces from advancing any further and possibly launching another offensive on Kyiv.
And choking Ukraine off from the Black Sea as well, which we know is a Russian goal. Go ahead, Bianca.
And John, we know you've been there about a week. You've covered a lot of ground. You were just in Bucha, days ago. Obviously, Russia continues to make these claims and saying it wasn't us. And it's obviously a propaganda war, an information war that continues. What are you hearing from, your sources there? And obviously the UN had the historic vote removing Russia from the Security Council. Just wondering if the reaction there is on that vote.
Well, obviously, Ukrainian officials are happy about that. They feel that more needs to be done. And as far as Bucha goes, Secretary of State Blinken talked about the bodies. I believe he gave a number of 410 bodies that have been found already. And with each day, there are more stories of killings, rapes, and massacres that are coming out, not only out of Bucha, but some of these communities. So the idea that Russian forces aren't responsible is laughable to Ukrainian officials and those who are on the ground and who are seeing and talking to people like myself and our crew and Jim and our fixer Nikita, who are talking to people who witnessed, who had family members that were executed, that were murdered in some of these areas.
Just awful. John Huddy, live for us in Kyiv. Thank you so much. Appreciate that detailed report there.
Thanks, John.